right, YouTube, what is good? It's your boy Rebel back with another video, and today we have two new image models for you guys to check out. Now, both of these models may have gone over your guys' heads as they were put into the Comfy templates, and a lot of people I noticed have not really been talking about them. So the first set of image models we will be taking a look at today are the Capybara image models. So you have a text to image, you have a image edit, and you have a video edit model. You also have an image to video model, but we won't be discussing these two today, just the image. And the second image model we will be taking a look at today is the Kandinsky 5.0 Image Lite, which is the text to image variant. So both of these models are available in the Comfy templates. The only thing that I would say that you could do to lower your VRAM requirements is grabbing the Qwen FP8 scaled VL7B text encoder from the link in the description. This will just help to remove some of the extra weight because the VRAM, even on the FP8, is 9.3 gigabytes alone. So if you don't have a lot of VRAM, these two models are not going to be for you. You're going to need like at least 20 to 24 gigabytes of RAM and VRAM coupled to be able to achieve either generation. So the first on the list today is Capybara. So Capybara is a unified visual creation model. Like I stated before, is a image model, an image edit model, a video edit model, and a image to video model. So you're getting, 4 different models baked into one. That being said, you do need to download 4 separate models to achieve these functions. Key features: the model supports multitask. So like I said before, all of those 4 variants. Also subscribes to high performance. So it is built with distributed inference support for efficient multi-GPU processing. And as you'll see from the examples, this model is kind of weird in a way. It's able to distinguish certain styles and dynamics, but in like things like hyperrealism or photorealism, it does struggle, and you'll see from my examples what I mean by that. But the second model we will be talking about today is the Kandinsky 5.0 text to image Lite model. So this is a 6 billion parameter model. It supports 1K resolution. There sadly isn't too much more information on this model, but judging by my examples that I'll be providing today, you'll get kind of a good idea of what the model is capable of. While this model too does struggle with photorealism, it can take the most imaginative prompts that you can think of, and it can actually bring those to life. Something similar to like a Mid-Journey. So if you would like, you can use my deconstructed workflows that I have on Civet AI. The links are in the description of the video. If not, you are more than welcome to go into the Comfy templates and install not only the files, but the workflows yourself. So starting with the Capybara model, we have, our base settings are all baked into a subgraph. So you don't really need to go in and mess with anything. It's all available right here. All of your resolution settings, your shift CFG steps, everything is right here for you. The native workflow default in Comfy wants you to do 20 steps with a CFG of 6, but I found that that was just not enough. So I lowered the CFG to around 5. You can bring it down to 4 and get decent results. I found 5 was better for prompt adherence, and I bumped the steps up to 50. 50 steps just really kind of helps to provide that extra detail that's going to be missing from the base workflows step count. 20 steps just provides a cartoonish or anime or, CGI rendered image. It does not provide hyper or photorealism. So keep that in mind when you're generating the steps. This model will not produce high quality images unless you run the full step count. So taking a look at the Kandinsky workflow, this is the deconstructed version of the Comfy workflow. So instead of having a subgraph, you have everything broken down into separate nodes. Everything is lined up properly. The only thing you're going to need to do is download that scaled text encoder because it's going to really help to take some of the weight off your VRAM because the model is like 16 or 20 gigabytes to run on its own, which is a lot for a lot of people. So the base step count is set to 50. Do not lower this. It's just going to provide, more detail and less artifacting. CFG stays stable at 3.5. I don't recommend moving that either. With that being said, those are both the workflows. So we can take a look at the examples I have today. So what I did was I generated over 100 prompts and plugged them into both models. So we will see the pending results for each prompt for both models to give you kind of like a comparison to see which model you would prefer or which use case is better per image. Okay, so for our first example, we have a Viking in a winter storm. The left will always be Capybara and the right will always be Kandinsky. Here we have a lion in a golden armor suit, kind of an anthropomorphic thing going on here. Again, like I'm going to say in most of these examples, you're going to find that Kandinsky executes the prompt a little bit better. Capybara did provide like a decent output here, and you could argue that based on preference, you would pick either one. Kandinsky just being slightly more photorealistic. Here we have kind of an interesting output. So Capybara chose to turn this into a like backgroundless image. And Kandinsky chose to put it in a scene. Why this happened, I'm really not sure with Capybara. It actually did it with a few of the examples that you'll see today, which was a bit strange, but nevertheless, it did execute prompt perfect. But Kandinsky obviously executed the aesthetic and style and scene better, and arguably the robot as well, but this is still an acceptable output from Capybara. Here we have a photorealism comparison, so I wanted to try a selfie output and see what both would provide. Kind of a toss-up on this. I mentioned before that Capybara struggles with photorealism. It does have its specific use cases, which I'm sure is a training aspect because the model does handle certain selfie prompts well. It does struggle in other areas with that, and you'll notice like sometimes it can provide like a Unreal Engine style output where it doesn't really feel photorealistic but hyper. This is a great output though from Capybara, and I would argue it's better than the Kandinsky version. Here we have an example of a rain-soaked wolf. Capybara went with a werewolf style wolf, and Kandinsky went with a more like photorealism style image here. Obviously, I'm going to say that Kandinsky won this just for the photorealism aspect. Depending on what you're going for, though, I mean, you could go with either one. I mean, obviously, most people would prefer the Kandinsky output, though. Here we have like a stylized demon output. Pretty subjective here. Both of them gave almost, identical textures and style. Prompt following was perfect on both as well. So this is an example of an output where I feel like Capybara kind of just smashed Kandinsky here. The prompt was for a, gloss-skinned woman. So like the fact that Capybara pulled this skin texture off and Kandinsky kind of ignored the prompt entirely. It's interesting because normally I would expect Kandinsky to handle this prompt better and provide the Capybara output, but it's the exact opposite here. So here we have a text comparison between the two. So I wanted to do a matrix style code rain with my logo. Kandinsky, I mean, this is perfect as far as matrix aesthetic, code style of the rain, the text, everything is like, this feels like the Matrix. Capybara struggled very hard with this prompt. I feel that Kandinsky was definitely trained on cinematic footage and cinematic images, and definitely on the Matrix, because this is spot on. Here we have an astronaut in a sofa in a wheat field. I did prompt for the galaxy to be in the image. Capybara did follow prompt entirely. That being said, obviously the textures and style are not photorealistic like I had asked. Kandinsky does do a better job with the photorealism as far as imaginary prompts. Capybara did pretty good here, but I would not accept this as a final output. Here is a abstract example. So you have a man with a television head with the face in the screen. I do prefer Kandinsky's output here. The Suit is more realistic and textured on the Capybara model, but the television and face on this output is just not right. I don't like it at all. It's strange, doesn't really make sense, and the physics are a little off. I mean, the physics are off on Kandinsky as well, but it does make a more cohesive image. Here is a macro close-up of an eye with a bug on it. Capybara surprisingly did a better job here than Kandinsky. Kandinsky is more photorealistic, but there's some weird hallucination going on the eye with the bug. It looks like it's kind of in the eye. Capybara did better with the positioning, and I do like the saturation increase on Capybara. And here we have a simple mirror selfie. This is really going to showcase some of the flaws that occur in outputs on Capybara. Like I had stated before, sometimes you don't get photorealism even when prompting for it. Had I ran this on multiple seeds, yeah, we could have gotten probably a clean output, but the point of this test was to showcase variability on a single run. So Kandinsky obviously took the cake on this one, and it's overall just a better image anyways. So, but all right, guys, that's all I'm going to have for you today. Just wanted to get you guys these two workflows and let you guys mess around with these models, because I really haven't seen anybody talking about either or model. Some speak of Kandinsky a little bit, but it's not toward use case, and I feel that showcasing this type of variability gives people a better idea of what's actually available in the model. If you enjoyed what you guys saw today, please consider subscribing to the channel and leaving me a comment on the video to let me know how I did. You can also like the video. It genuinely helps the channel tremendously. So download these models, try out these workflows, and let me know what you guys think. And also, if you don't mind, leave me a couple of your generations in the galleries under the workflows, because I'm interested to see what you guys come up with. All right, guys, that's it. Have a nice day. Bye.